you are little Sen. When the woman saw Han Sen, she greeted him with great enthusiasm and a warm smile. I am Han Sen. Who are you? Han Sen frowned when he heard the woman call him little Sen. I am your aunt. The woman seemed surprised at Han Sen asking this. Aunt? Han Sen was shocked, never before hearing that he had aunt. Didn't Sister Lan tell you that she has a little sister? That is heartbreaking for me to hear. I was just an orphan, picked and raised by my grandfather. I treated your mother as a true sister. I can hardly believe she never mentioned me before. The woman looked genuinely upset, almost as if tears were ready to burst from her eyes. Han Sen frowned. Understanding her identity in the family meant nothing to him. His mother said she never wanted to get involved with the Luo family. She wouldn't even let Han Sen learn the Luo family's skill. Although she never explained why, Han Sen trusted her in the reasons she must have had. As such, Han Sen never bothered trying to contact the Luo family. You are so cold. It is no wonder you are Sister Lan's son. The woman smiled, and the sadness in her eyes had vanished. The change was sudden and quite jarring. If there is nothing else for you to say, then I'll be leaving now. Han Sen turned around and prepared to make his exit. But the woman's hands were like lightning. She threw her finger in Han Sen's direction. Before it reached Han Sen, he felt its great power suddenly approaching his body. It was thinner than a needle and sharper than a blade. Han Sen was shocked, not expecting the woman to attack him here, of all places. It was fortunate Han Sen reacted quickly. He fired his elephant disc punch to collide with the incoming hit. Han Sen took a few steps back and hit the wall. His finger was cut so deep, the bone inside was on display. Hey, you didn't learn Falsified Sky Sutra. The woman looked at Han Sen with great surprise. If he had learnt it, he would have been able to counter her attack. Han Sen was about to get angry, but upon hearing what she asked him, inquired, what Falsified Sky Sutra? Han Sen racked his mind as if to recall something. Then, he asked, wait, are you the one who gave me that unknown hyper-geno art? The woman shook her head and said, I sent it to you, but it was a gift given to you by your great-grandfather. Why did you not take the time to learn it? I am not learning something from an unknown source, Han Sen coldly replied. Well, it is no longer an unknown source. I hope you take the time to learn it in the near future. The woman felt awkward, coming here to test Han Sen's progress with the skill. She had not expected him to have not bothered with it at all. If it's from the Luo family, then that means I'll definitely not learn it, Han Sen coldly said. Why? The woman frowned, looking at Han Sen. His answer had actually surprised her. Because my mother wants no involvement with your family. You have received the answer to your question, now you can leave. Do you have any idea what you're missing out on? There are only 5 hyper-geno arts that have 10 gene locks available to open. Falsified Sky Sutra is one of them. The woman stared at Han Sen. So what? Han Sen asked her. The woman laughed in response, saying, it looks like you really don't have any idea what you're missing out on. If you don't practice Falsified Sky Sutra, then you aren't a member of our family. You don't have the necessary qualifications to join Godslayer Shelter. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not get the memo? My surname is Han, and Godslayer Shelter has nothing to do with me. I have no interest in joining there. And to add to that, I don't think Falsified Sky Sutra is all that impressive, Han Sen told her coldly. Hearing Han Sen's last few words, the smile quickly vanished from her face. With a chilling voice she said, you are just like Sister Lan. You are so selfish and conceited. You don't care about anyone else, do you? As your aunt, I should really teach you a lesson. An invisible force was headed Han Sen's way, moving at a blisteringly quick pace. Han Sen saw it coming, so he simulated the bone elephant's energy flow. Elephants trumpeted inside him once more, and his body turned the color of jade. He raised his fist and punched the incoming force. It sounded like glass being shattered. Luo Li's expression turned to one of shock in response, not expecting Han Sen's fist skills to have developed so strongly. She never expected him to be able to dwarf the power of the Falsified Sky Sutra. It was just a random punch of hers, but Han Sen had managed to crush it. And this surprised her. Luo Li did not believe herself to be invincible, but she didn't believe anyone could beat her if they had not learned the Falsified Sky Sutra. In Luo Li's eyes, she thought only Luo Lan had sufficient power to beat her. She always considered her sister to be her greatest opponent and greatest target. She could not allow herself to lose against her son. And she would not allow herself to lose against someone who had not even bothered to practice the Falsified Sky Sutra. An invisible power burst forth from her. Her hair waved like a madwoman's, floating in the air. Her hands became like blades, swinging towards Han Sen. The invisible power was like an indestructible blade. It sliced through the air as it traveled towards Han Sen. Han Sen did not move an inch. Half of his body crackled and sparked with looming thunder, whereas his other half chimed like a bell. When the invisible blade storm was about to strike Han Sen, he threw out his fist. The combined powers of sonic and lightning channeled through his fist to form an orb of light in the palm of his hand. It grew into a silver sun and exploded out towards Luo Li with the break of deafening thunder. The invisible blade storm was like glass, as Han Sen's power shattered its cohesion and nullified its threat. As the lightning coursed through the air, a chilling noise sounded at the same time. The energy flow of Han Sen's attacker was distorted, which disabled her from gathering the composure needed to effectively dodge the incoming danger. Right before the lightning looked set to strike Luo Li, she summoned Beast Soul Armor. The armor and clothes underneath were incinerated by the wretched power possessed by the lightning. Peng, Luo Li's body was sent flying backwards into the wall of the reception area. Her mouth heaved blood as her burnt, tattered garments scattered messily across the room. Only a scrap or two clung to her body, smoldering. Nothing happened next. There was no counterattack. She just sat on the floor, staring at Han Sen with a ghastly look wrought by her disbelief over what had just transpired. She never believed she could lose to Han Sen, let alone to lose so quickly and badly. "Is that all you've got?" Han Sen looked down on Luo Li. He removed his coat and handed it to her. As he turned around to exit the reception area, he said, "Leave. Neither I nor my mother have any interest in being a part of the Luo family anymore." Luo Li heard what Han Sen said and her body shook. As this happened, her mind stumbled back into the past. "Is that all you've got?" She had heard these words spoken to her many times while she was growing up. That proud and beautiful lady said the same thing to her every time she was defeated by her hands. Luo Li despised that sentence, and she held a further disgust for her pretty face. But now she was hearing it from someone else, and in a cruel twist of irony, that person was her son. Impossible. Impossible. He didn't learn Falsified Sky Sutra. How can he have such power? There is no way I can lose to someone who has not learned Falsified Sky Sutra. And there is no way I can lose to her son. Luo Li was screaming aloud in complete hysteria, but by now, she was in the room alone. Han Sen was unsure at what time Luo Li left, but after his encounter, he went to contact his mother about what had occurred. He wanted to confirm whether or not Luo Li truly was from the Luo family. "Little Li really did seek you out." When Luo Sulan heard, she remained absolutely calm as if this was expected. There was a distinct lack of surprise in her voice. "She really is my aunt." Han Sen had been suspicious of her claims. "Yes, your great-grandfather believed I would be too lonely growing up on my own, so he adopted her. I haven't seen her since I abandoned the Luo family." Luo Sulan sighed. "I can't learn the Falsified Sky Sutra," Han Sen asked. "You can learn it if you want, but by doing so, you bring upon yourself family business you won't be able to escape from." Luo Sulan sighed, thinking her son had been tempted by the Falsified Sky Sutra after seeing it in action and witnessing what it could do. "Well, if it really would bring me trouble, then forget it. You really aren't tempted to try it." "Not really." Auntie had learned the Falsified Sky Sutra, and yet I was able to defeat her in a single punch, Han Sen casually relayed. Luo Sulan was even more surprised now, asking, "You really managed to defeat her in a single punch?" "Yeah, it was easy." A cocky smile crept upon Han Sen's face. Luo Sulan, with a wry smile, said, "It looks like you have developed further than I expected. And, I will say this, do not underestimate the Falsified Sky Sutra. Although little Li works her hardest, she isn't bound to the family through blood. That separation means she cannot learn the Falsified Sky Sutra in its purest, most authentic form." How strong would the real Falsified Sky Sutra be? Han Sen's interest in the skill had now increased. Although he managed to defeat her, he actually believed Luo Li to be one of the strongest evolvers he had ever gone up against. It has the power of Ashira. If you ever end up going against someone who has learnt that skill, remember this, do not defend. Pitting yourself against a person who has learnt it can only lead to two outcomes. You either end up killing that person quickly, or you die. Be quick or be dead. Luo Sulan said this, but it didn't quite explain enough. "Mother, what happened to the Luo family?" Han Sen could no longer hold his desire to know, so he asked. "If you do not belong to the Luo family, there is no need for you to know. Knowing would needlessly burden you with greater troubles. If you did enter the Luo family, however, you would quickly come to know." This was a subject Luo Sulan had no desire to talk about. Han Sen entered the shelter once more and wanted to get a better grasp of his surroundings. He needed to learn exactly where he was and where he had to go next. Oh no, there is a spirit attacking the shelter. As Han Sen sat in the plaza, contemplating his next move, a screaming person came running through. Immediately, everyone became nervous. A spirit attacking a shelter. When Han Sen heard them yell this, it surprised him a great deal. It had been a long time since he had last heard of a spirit attacking a shelter. Han Sen curiously went to the city's wall. He wanted to see what manner of spirit had decided to attack the shelter. If the owner could not withstand the siege, then perhaps he could lend a hand. Han Sen. As Han Sen walked towards the gate, someone called out his name. Lin Beifeng. Han Sen turned around with surprise. It had been a while since he had last seen him, and he did not expect to see him here in the second god's sanctuary. Lin Beifeng ran over to Han Sen, grabbed his hands, and almost began bawling his eyes out. I'll confess it has been a while, but there is no need for such a display of passion. Brother, I am touched. In this dusty crap hole, even if my wallet were bursting at the seams, I cannot buy anything. It is a miserable and upsetting affair. Now that I have finally met you, I can spend my money on decent merchandise. Come, sell me 2 sacred blood beast souls. When Han Sen heard this, he threw his clingy hands away. The whole reason he was behaving so passionately was for this, it was now plain to see. You think sacred blood beast souls are a common item you can buy from just anywhere. And you're saying you want 2. Han Sen laughed. Lin Beifeng had been bored out of his mind in this place for quite some time. He was very rich, but his family lacked ties to the greater families. In his time here, few people had been willing to help him, and even with the money he had, he couldn't buy anything decent. His time here had not been pleasant. He never expected to see Han Sen here though, of all places. He had heard many tales regarding Han Sen's escapades, and having known him previously, was certain he would have sacred blood beast souls for sale. Brother Beifeng, cease your acting. Do you really think this child would have sacred blood beast souls available for sale? I have already given you my price. Either cough up the coin or get lost. Don't play games with me, a middle-aged man near Lin Beifeng said. And not buying your rubbish beast souls. This guy has all manner of different beast souls, so why would I buy ones from your crappy roster? Lin Beifeng coldly replied. People knew Lin Beifeng was rich, so it was common for people to attempt to scam him. There weren't many high-class beast souls in a place such as this, and such extortionists frequently grouped up to weasel the most coin out of him. Lin Beifeng had no choice but to suffer and accept the exorbitant fees they charged. Now that he had met Han Sen, he wasn't willing to be bullied anymore, and he most certainly wasn't going to buy their beast souls. Let's go, brother. I am buying you food. And perhaps, just perhaps, we might talk a while as we eat. Forgive me for interrupting your plans for lunch, but don't we have a spirit attacking the shelter right now? Shouldn't we go take a look? Han Sen said, smiling. Sure, let's go take a look at what we face. Lin Beifeng felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that with Han Sen's help, however, he'd be able to move to another royal shelter and not remain stuck where he currently was. Brother, do you have any sacred blood beast souls? If you lend me 2, I will go down there and show them how it's done. Han Sen gave him 2 sacred blood beast souls that he would never otherwise use, which made Lin Beifeng super happy. He was given a sacred blood armor and the long-forgotten ghost pod claws. After suiting up, Lin Beifeng hastily ran out to greet the attackers who sought to claim the shelter. Through the aid of his new sacred blood beast souls, although Lin Beifeng was not that strong, he could easily slay the ordinary creatures. Even the mutant variants could do nothing to him and were soon cut down. Lin Beifeng had become an extremely powerful man, as he was seen cleaving his way through the hordes of monsters down below. He even looked quite heroic, and this shocked the people of the shelter. By the time all was said and done, he managed to beat the ogre into running away. Once his victory was assured, everyone gave him massive applause. After beating the spirit, Lin Beifeng himself was exuberantly happy. When the deed was complete, he spared no time in bringing Han Sen to a hotel where they could eat. Not long after, a group of people arrived at the shelter. Liu Jai and the people in charge went to welcome the team. Liu Jai relayed to him what had transpired during his absence. What is this kid's association with Lin Beifeng? Liu Kuang frowned. He believed Lin Beifeng was a worthless piece of meat, who was easy to bully, and bully him they did, frequently, in this night's shelter. Now, someone had sold him 2 sacred blood beast souls. This meant they could no longer scam money from his coffer. Liu Kuang went to observe Han Sen and Lin Beifeng. He couldn't discern much about Han Sen and hadn't the clue what his reputation was. If Han Sen did hail from a big family, he figured he'd have been able to easily recognize the man. Lacking smarts and cultural attention, he did not even realize that he was looking at the son-in-law of the president. Brother Blind, that's them. Liu Jai put away his binoculars and spoke, while pointing towards their sought-after prey. Brother Blind did not need to use binoculars, and as he watched the 2 people from afar, a queer look came upon him. These are the people you have tasked me to deal with. Brother Blind asked Brother Kuang and Liu Jai to confirm. Yes, that is them, Liu Jai said. A soft sword, very much like a ribbon, was drawn by Brother Blind's hands. Blood coated the sword as Liu Jai's head was suddenly flung from his shoulders and into the sky. The eyes of the severed head were open wide, in a sudden fright and confusion. Brother Blind, what was that for? Liu Kuang and the rest were all aghast at the sudden turn of events. In response, they all drew their weapons and faced Brother Blind warily. Brother Blind coldly laughed and said, I may pursue coin blindly, but even I won't throw my life away for it. If you have sought to task me with a suicide run, then I have no choice but to kill you. Liu Kuang's face changed. With shock, he asked, are you saying that guy is quite something? Han Sen's presence had unknowingly unblinded Brother Blind. For this to suddenly happen, a bad feeling crept over Liu Kuang's mind. He is not just something. That guy is everything. Even your boss could end up working as a grunt below him. He moved his soft sword. What hurt the most was not the blade, but the sensations it imparted. Brother Blind's sword skills were soft and gentle. Every time the blade moved, a separate scream would emanate from the woods. Han Sen and Lin Beifeng heard some noises coming from the woods as they passed by. Looking to scope it out, Han Sen stumbled across a clearing that was strewn with bodies. In their midst, Brother Blind stood wiping his sword clean. It's Liu Kuang and Liu Jai. Liu Kuang is Liu Jai's boss in the royal shelter. How could they? Lin Beifeng was shocked upon seeing the corpses all about. Han Sen quickly understood what Liu Kuang had sought to do, but what he did not know was the identity of the lone man before them, and why he had killed them all. Thank you for the help, friend. What is your name? Han Sen asked. I don't consider this aid. I was just sparing you the trouble. Brother Blind let out his signature cackle. It was creepy. Call me Blind. Do we know each other? But Han Sen couldn't help but frown and ponder the reason for his name. He clearly wasn't blind, so why did he wish to be called that? Yes, of course. We do indeed. Brother Blind nodded but did not explain any further. Han Sen was a little puzzled by this curious encounter, so he asked another question. Where are you from? It does not matter where I come from. What does matter is something important you ought to know, Brother Blind said. What? Han Sen frowned, thinking this Blind was quite the strange fellow. Do not join the Luo family. Brother Blind said these words slowly, with a grave tone. Is this a warning or a friendly reminder? Han Sen asked the Blindman. How you discern my words is up to you. Blindman did not explain. Instead, he pulled out a bag and tossed it over to Han Sen. Practice this when you find the time, it should help. After that, Blindman turned around and left. He moved quickly, and within a second, he disappeared from sight. Han Sen just stood there, watching the Blindman disappear into the woods. He turned away from Lin Beifeng and had a quick peek into the bag he had been given. There really was a book in there, and the paper looked fairly modern. Han Sen was a little disappointed, learning that it was not some ancient codex. After having a flick through the contents, he learned that it was neither a hyper-geno art or Kaigong. It related to psychological fortitude and constitution. It was like a compendium or guide to prevent one from being subjected to fraud or scams. Han Sen thought about it and came to the conclusion that reading it would prove no harm. Han Sen continued his journey and brought Lin Beifeng all the way to the royal shelter safely. Although Lin Beifeng did not know anyone there, having wealth meant he could have or do anything he wanted to. It was very unlike the tiny night shelter that didn't even have anything to spend coin on. Brother, I thank you so very much. If it weren't for you, I'd still be there in that night shelter, being subject to mistreatment by those bastards. If you remain in the shelter for a few days, I promise I'll get you something good. There is no rush, but I do plan to remain here for a couple of days. If you require further assistance, I can help you get in touch with the special security team for your protection, too. They're good at what they do, but you'll have to pay for their services. Han Sen smiled. That is brilliant to hear, brother. But let's not speak any further. Wait for my good news. Lin Beifeng was more than pleased, loving the prospect of being helped by the special security team. Han Sen took to info gathering during stay in the shelter, and he spent some time digging around on Skynet. He was keen to learn whether or not there were nearby super creatures. During his research, he had learned of 2 nearby locations he wanted to check out. It was an area comprised of sprawling meadows, each painted with innumerable flowers that were all knitted together. As serene as the area was, the number of flowers put it on the radar for a great many insects. Butterflies, bees, ants, and more frequented this place. But it was said there was something even spookier that resided there, something that stilled the hearts and desires for all who ventured near. To determine the validity of people's fears, Han Sen wanted to travel into the heart of the meadows and see for himself whether or not there was a super creature residing there. Bugs were known to produce many offspring. If there was a super creature insect there, it might have been similar to the devil ant king, and possess a large number of eggs. The verdant expanse before him was quite lumpy, but it was dressed with a sea of colorful flowers. These meadows went on and on towards the horizon, appearing endless. After walking for some time, Han Sen was given a big surprise. He saw a person in the field, killing creatures. Many insects swarmed towards him, but despite that, the man looked calm and composed. Untouched by a single creature, he gently swung his sword to slay each that came for him. Jing Jiwu. When Han Sen recognized the man, he became even more surprised. He was the monster from the Alliance's Central Military Academy. In the Military Academy's league game, in archery, Han Sen won his first championship. Jing Jiwu now caught sight of Han Sen's approach, and sped up to finish off the creatures that pestered him. Within a single second, he managed to slay around 1,000 butterflies. The field was, for now, empty of the fluttering fiends. Once he was done, he walked towards Han Sen. "I never expected a chance encounter with you here, of all places," Jing Jiwu said casually as he approached Han Sen. "I could not have expected this, either." Han Sen smiled. Although they were once opponents, it was nice to meet him there. "I have heard you are in possession of a super pet," Jing Jiwu said. "Yes," Han Sen nodded. High-class officers had long spread this news, so it wasn't at all surprising for Jing Jiwu to know about the silver fox. "Walk west for 100 miles and you'll come across a muddy hill. There are many gold-winged bees there, and quite possibly super creatures, too. If you are interested, you should go and take a look," Jing Jiwu said. "Thanks." Han Sen bid his appreciation and then took off in the direction he was told to go. They didn't speak much with one another, but they were cooperative and adherent to the other's needs. Han Sen did not doubt the information he was given. "I was hoping we would one day meet again, and when we did, I'd be strong enough to re-challenge you. I am short of that goal." Seeing Han Sen walk off, Jing Jiwu watched him go. He continued to think to himself, "Yes, become stronger. Go further. Give me the motivation to catch up with you. That will assuredly stoke a fire in the hearts of humanity." Then he threw himself into the midst of another legion of butterflies. Han Sen continued traveling in the direction Jing Jiwu had indicated, and after walking 100 miles, he came across a 40-meter high hill that was shaped like a mushroom. There were many small burrows underneath, from which golden bees came in and out of. They were each around the size of a fist. "These really aren't your average bees. I am afraid there might indeed be a super creature in this place." Han Sen was standing 100 meters away from the hill, yet the silver fox's presence did nothing to alarm the golden bees. There had to be a super creature burrowed deep inside. If there wasn't, then the bees would have assuredly paid heed to the silver fox's approach. They'd have been long gone by now. Han Sen was thinking about how he might flush the bee king out and see what manner of super creature he'd be dealing with. But as he thought, he caught sight of a lone pretty flower atop the hill. The flower had no roots or leaves, it just stood there atop the hill. It was a few meters wide and the petals looked like those of a Chinese rose. The flower was beautiful, and it looked as if honey was oozing from inside the bud. But despite the large number of golden bees that populated the area, not a single one ventured close to it. Han Sen used his Dongshuan aura to scan the flower. Because it was quite far from him, he couldn't scan it with much detail. Still, he was able to grasp some sort of horrific life force where it lay. Is that flower producing creatures, or is it perhaps something that strengthens your body? Han Sen looked at the flower with a strange look on his face, wanting to be as careful as possible. Han Sen had seen this sort of thing many times. Treasures like this frequently had frightening monsters nearby, and such creatures were never in short supply. Whenever such flowers matured, other creatures were bound to show up. Han Sen watched the flower open from afar. Slowly, the petals unfurled. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Not long after, the sky went dark and the moon arose. Under the gleaming moonlight, the flower fully opened. The sweet fragrance became stronger at this point. Even Han Sen, who was 300 meters away, became enveloped by the smell. It gave him the urge to run up to the flower and lick it for a tantalizing taste of the juices within. Suddenly, however, there was movement from the beehive. The golden-winged bees outside began to go crazy until eventually, a 1-foot-long crystal gold bee king exited the tunnels that led into the interior of the beehive. Bee king. Han Sen was shocked. He used his Dongshuan aura to scan it, and it was revealed to be a first-generation super creature due to its blurry life force. Han Sen was a little disappointed, but he still watched it with great interest. He was trying to determine what he should do next. The bee king flew atop the hill where the flower rested and landed upon a pistil of the open flower. It then started to drink nutrients from its top. Han Sen gulped, earnestly wishing he could go and join the bee in drinking the juices the flower had concocted. But for now, he held the urge back and remained still. The bee king wouldn't usually come out to eat. It had many lesser worker bees to gather food on its behalf. Han Sen became oddly suspicious, seeing that the bee king had been eating for quite some time without any intrusion. While Han Sen contemplated his next move and whether or not he should nick the flower from the bee king, the super creature's honey sac filled up with the juices. At this point, it flew back inside the hive. Not long after, the bee king returned from the hive once more. It flew back up to the flower, undoubtedly for further collection of the juices. It did this a few times until the moon reached its highest point in the sky. It was also at this time that the flower began to shrink and recede. The bee king did not eat the honey because it's saving it. Han Sen's heart jumped as he imagined that. Normally, kings eat the best stuff. If it isn't eating it itself, then perhaps it has babies to feed. Maybe there are child super creatures someplace within. Thinking of this, Han Sen fancied venturing into the beehive to have a look for himself. Even if there were no second-generation super creatures, the bee king's honey would come in useful for himself. But Han Sen was patient, and he wanted to watch things for a little while longer. This was a large group of creatures, and it was not going to be a simple super fight. He didn't believe the little angel could tackle the beehive and its occupants all alone. The fairy rarely listened to his commands, either. If the fairy went in ahead and consumed all the honey, it'd be a big loss. The silver fox enjoyed eating such rare delights, too. With both of them there, Han Sen had to be careful. Exerting much effort for no reward would be a crying shame. While it was daytime, Han Sen heard a buzzing noise. He didn't care much, since there were many bugs and insects all around. It wasn't a particularly unique sound. But this time, the buzzing sound was getting louder and louder. When the sound was as deafening as a helicopter landing in Han Sen's ear, he perked his head to pay attention. When Han Sen raised his head, he saw a green cloud heading his way. Curiously, the sound was coming from that very cloud. After looking closer, he noticed that it wasn't a cloud. It was a sickeningly large host of fist-sized green flies. With great ferocity, they went flying down towards the beehive. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.